Hello, and in today's video we are doing an FPL review of Game Week 1. That's right, we're looking back at the first match week of the brand new 2022 to 23 season. In the last video we previewed my team ahead of that 6:30 PM deadline last Friday, and I can't lie, it was manic. I was at Fantasy Football Fest, and the Fantasy Football Fest tinkering, the vibes, the people, which we're going to go on and talk about in this video, it was just amazing. The atmosphere was unbelievable, and my FPL jitters were all over the place, loving to experiment, loving to tinker, and hence the video I pre-recorded for the 6:30 on Friday came out. I started talking about my tips for the season and kind of predictions for the season, and then one at 7 o'clock came out titled Game Week 1 preview, talking about possibly Salah captain against Fulham and Kulasevsky against Southampton. Kulusevski is the man of the video, the man of the game week, and we'll get to that in a second. But let me just say, before we carry on, do smash a like on the video, subscribe for more on the FPL Yellow Army channel. We're nearly at 50 subs, so if we can just push beyond that at the start of Game Week 2, that would be superb. So share, like, and subscribe. And let's get into the Game Week 1 review. So, as I mentioned, the team for Game Week 1 changed a little bit because I started getting Haaland FOMO whilst I was at Fantasy Football Fest. And originally, I was set up in a 5-3-2 formation. But then I was like, oh, I'm just craving this 8 million midfielder. And I got this Haaland FOMO. I took off Kane. And therefore, I thought I need Spurs coverage. So, let's get to it then, shall we? This is my team for Game Week 1, reviewing it, and then we will, at the end of the video, review Fantasy Football Fest that I attended on Friday the 5th. So, let's get into it. Game Week 1. This was the team. 78 points for my team named Hanging by a Fred. And poor Fred in the Manchester United match against Brighton did get subbed off. Don't know what he did to deserve that, but anyway, the point is, that is my team name, and obviously, you know, as we do, as a Watford fan, in the lovely yellow and red, it's got to be done with the black shorts. But let's get to the players that were putting on the kit for this first 11. The average this week was 57, so a pretty decent first week for a lot of people. I mean, I kind of saw an average of about 60, 50 points. So people getting into the 70s had a good week for sure. If you got into the 80s, then you've got some sort of cheat code, because fair play. And then the odd manager played their triple captainship on either Erling Harland or Mohamed Salah. Now, for me, fair enough if you got like a 36 or a 39 point haul, but it's an easy one for me, despite the fact that with the way this season is structured with the kind of World Cup and the Game Week 17 unlimited transfers, despite the fact you're going to have fewer wildcards and you're going to have, well, more wildcards and fewer double game weeks, for me, triple captaincy is always a double game week chip, but that's just my personal preference. But yeah, 119 points. Congratulations to Rail Social Dad. Great team name, by the way, because he had Mendy, Zinchenko, Salah, and Mitrovic. I mean, that is unbelievable. And then, yeah, very good game week. Amazing 119 points with that triple captain on Erling Harland. And look at that for a game week rank. I mean, you're going to be loving it, aren't you? Of course you would. Even if you finished 5 million this season, you'll take one ranked in Game Week 1. Now, obviously, you want to win the game. It's better to be consistent. But, yeah, 78 points. I'm absolutely ecstatic with that. And when I say ecstatic, I mean it. Like, this game week, all I was looking for was to just hit past that 60-point mark. Because a lot of people say that season upon season. As long as you get past the 60-point mark for Game Week 1, that is pretty decent. And that's good enough for me. But, oh my goodness me, this game week was brilliant. And I loved it. And it will go down in my memory for a long time. Mainly because of the way I changed my team at Fantasy Football Fest. But let's talk about that game week rank. I mean, for an overall rank after the first game week, 386k, I am loving it. So that is my overall rank, 386,786. And therefore, it's also my game week rank. So that's very strong. To be in the top million is not always easy in Game Week 1. I mean, last game week, I think it was the most bizarre Game Week 1 ever, where everyone was getting like nearly 100 points. I got 107, I remember that was the game week that Fernandes got a hat-trick for Leeds and Salah got a nice haul against Norwich. There's all those things, basically, that don't always happen every game week 1. But this game week 1, considering it wasn't as high scoring, to get 78 is a very solid score, so I'm really happy with that. Before we do look at my team, let's look at the team of the week, so the highest scoring team you could have had this game week. Now, interestingly enough, the player of the week, Fabian Schär for Newcastle, and oh my word, how funny is that? He scores a goal identical to the one he scored at home to Burnley in the 18-19 season. It was even the same celebration. I mean, what are the chances? What a strike. Fair play for those that had Fabian Schär. I'm not sure many did because, look, he was very lowly owned, but also for a reason, because he wasn't playing much in pre-season. And if you went for a Newcastle defender, you probably went Botman because of his attacking threat. But fair enough, Fabian Schär. This team got you 133 points, which is actually mad. But as I will go on to show you, this Game Week 1 Team of the Week is pretty fruity in places. And fruity, what I mean by that is differential. So you couldn't have really predicted it. And if you've got some of these players, amazing. But don't feel hard done by you haven't, because it was just one of those weeks where sometimes there was a few bits of variance here or there. But let's talk about the goalkeeper. I mean, Mendy, that was the goalie that everyone was looking at that 5 million price bracket along with Ramsdale. And Mendy did very, very well against Everton. Got a goal, obviously Chelsea, and then they kind of saw out the rest of the game. And, 3 save points is what you want from a goalie. Whether it will be worth it across the season, when you look at the 4.5 options, I don't know. But certainly a good start for Edouard Mendy and a decent clean sheet. Back 3, very, very surprising back 3. I mean, I think we all had some Arsenal assets in our team, but I don't think many people went for Zinchenko. A lot of people went for the double up in our attack with Gabriel Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus, or they went with Saka instead of Martinelli. And some people went with Gabriel because it made sense. Goal threat from set pieces, and Palace and Leicester in the first 2, very bad from set pieces, especially corners. So, yeah, Gabriel had proven he could score goals. Zinchenko's come in, you think, is he going to start all the games? Well, with Tierney out, yes, but at left back, is he going to be that attacking? And he got an assist against Crystal Palace. A good header, knocked down for Martinelli, and a great haul from Zinchenko. 3 bonus points. Great option there. But the problem is, when Tierney's back, will he be playing out of position? Will he be playing enough of an attacking position in that midfield to get the goals? I don't know. But he's certainly one to definitely have in the watch list. Kelly, that was a bit of a shock. Good assist for the goal from Kiefer Moore, but I don't think Kelly will be that attacking every week. And I don't think Bournemouth will be that great every week. And I hate to say it to them, but, that maybe just did catch Villa on a bad day. We saw it last season on the opening day. Watford do the same. I just think Villa are kind of a bit of a slow starter. So maybe I will be proven wrong. Maybe Bournemouth will have a good season. But I think it was a good kind of game week punt, really, if you had any Bournemouth players, but I'm not sure it's wise with the way their season might pan out, and obviously their fixtures are terrible now. So interesting one, that one. We've already talked about Fabian Schär. The midfield, now this is where the variance came in. Besides Mohamed Salah, you had a lot of differentials getting big hauls. And let's start with Pascal Gross. What is it about Manchester United that Pascal Gross loves? He just loves to play them. And 2 goals, United were absolutely awful. And that was why I was relieved I didn't have a single of their Old Trafford players. Because honestly, they were abysmal. They started the game the better team. But then once that Brighton goal went in, they were so sloppy, giving away the ball all the time. And Pascal Gross, for a cheap player who is differential, he is on set pieces, he is on penalties. I mean, I'm never going to go there because I just can't face it. But telling you, don't rule him out. I'm just saying, don't knee-jerk him in either, because it is only Pascal Gross. Jorginho, that is the kind of bandwagon that these casuals will jump on. Do not bring him in. He is not going to get any FPL points compared to your players at a similar price. And yes, he's on penalties, but they won't win penalties that often, Chelsea. So just don't do it, please. He's a defensive midfielder. It's not worth it. Jefferson Lerma, the same kind of thing, really, in that position, but pops up with a random goal. Don't really read that much into it. But then, Dejan Kulusevski. We saw last season how brilliant he was coming in from Juventus, and oh my word, what a game from him. A goal and an assist, and what an assist. That cross for the Sessegnon header is actually unreal. And Harry Kane isn't going to score, so that's the goals for Spurs. You missed out if you didn't have Kulusevski. Son got a nice assist, but, you know, that's not as much as you would like. And then Mo Salah, the king of FPL. Why do we doubt him? He's got to be our captain for Game Week 1, every game week. Every season, I should say, every Game Week 1. He just loves playing a promoted team, and we didn't really have much doubt. And, you know, in the end, Haaland outscores him, but still so reliable, and you just know what you're going to get with Mo Salah. Front two, though, very interesting. Alexander Mitrovic against Liverpool, people doubted him. They said it was a bad fixture. They said he couldn't be back in the Premier League scoring goals, but he proved them wrong. He silenced the haters. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to have an amazing season because it's one game, but he looked very, very good in that match, putting Van Dijk on his backside and looking really threatening in the box with that header climbing over Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he's on pens, so what's not to like? Obviously, the Fulham fixtures could be a bit better, but certainly one to watch, as is Zinchenko. And then Haaland, what can I say about this man? He is honestly different level, and he comes in, gets 2 goals like it's a walk in the park, and he is becoming so tempting. If you don't have him, you're going to switch him from Kane, and that is now trending on Twitter, Kane to Haaland ahead of Game Week 2. The bench isn't a bench because who needs a bench, eh? Talking of it, which my bench didn't score that well this week, which I'm pretty relieved with. But let's get back to my team. In goal, we went for Danny Ward. Now, I know what you're going to say, why would you start a 4 mil goalkeeper? And I agree with you. Why did I start a 4 mil goalkeeper? Well, I had my backup, who I think will be my number 1 for most of the season, with a worse fixture on paper. Now, Manchester United are poor, I admit, but they're still more likely to score at home than Brentford are away. So it made sense to start Ward for this fixture. The bench, it was a shame, but it won't be a catastrophic thing that I'll look back on in the end of the season. It's 3 points. It's really not that big. And let's just remember that this guy's only a 4 mil goalie. It's not much to expect from him. You shouldn't be that much of a kind of hope that he'll get big points because it's only a 4 mil goalie. But still, even 1 point, in my opinion, is great value for 4 million. Now, obviously, I'm taking the mick, but still, he's a good backup goalie if Leicester don't sign the Newcastle goalie Dubravka, or they have been linked with Alex McCarthy, which would be a bit of a shame. But look, let's not overthink that 4 mil goalie slot. It really is not that important. But, you know, at least he did play over Iverson, which, you know, if Iverson had played and I benched Sanchez, I mean, I could have got Sanchez off the bench, but still, I'd rather, you know, my decisions were right and I decided to start Ward. At the end of the day, like, it looked like United were going to come in and score a couple. It ended up they only scored 1, and it was just that Brentford got a couple from nowhere, and it was just really unexpected. But let's remember the abilities of that Leicester defence are still a little bit up and down. But the defence is much more positive than that singular point, because we, my friends, went for the double trouble. Oh yes, Walker, Cancelo, Trent and Robbo. I'm actually buzzing with that double up City because a lot of people would have doubted Kyle Walker, and they probably went Diaz or they went, you know, another defender. But 6 points in a week where there's a lot of goals, not many clean sheets, I will take that very, very nicely. Now, Walker was a big differential. Admittedly, the goal threat isn't always there, but to be honest, to get into the best defence for 5 million, I will gladly take it. Cucurella has gone to Chelsea, so I think, unless a signing comes out of nowhere, Walker is nailed. So that is lovely. To get those points, we will take them very much. Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. This was a shame, but what can you do? Fulham played well. You've got to give credit to them. But I still feel the triple up with Trent and Robbo is better than the triple up with Diaz. The thing about Nunez is he could be decent, but he doesn't necessarily always start. So let's monitor that situation. But for now, I'm going to stick with those two because their attacking upside in future game weeks is so, so huge. It's not one to switch on. I remember at the start of the 20 to 21 season, we wildcarded in game week 4 and brought in Trent and Robbo and they had Villa away, you know what happened. The 7-goal haul. So, that kind of thing has scarred me. But at the same time, that was a very different season. And Liverpool are a very good team. So, that one game week blip against Fulham, don't read too much into it. And look, Trent and Robbo can still pop up even if they're conceding and get attacking returns. Joao Cancelo, very frustrating, I can't lie, to get booked. I mean, it was the most stupid booking ever to show the binoculars to the linesman. But look, at the end of the day, he still gets 2 bonus points. And he's so attacking. He drives forward. He's looking so good. So, 7 points. Lovely jubbly. Let's move on to that midfield then. Martinelli has got the first goal of the new season. And great to own him. 6 million. Should start most weeks unless Smith Rowe starts showing some kind of fitness and form. But Martinelli, just what a player. What a young talent. And, glad I picked him over Bukayo Saka, who, of course, scored less this game week. So, nice game week haul for Martinelli. I mean, I say a haul, less than 10, but still, a return is all you want at this stage, very early on in the season, and looks really good to own for the upcoming good Arsenal fixtures. Mo Salah, 24 points, lovely jubbly. Don't doubt this guy because he will punish you, and those people going without Salah this game week have been punished. Neto, 2 points. Look, I don't expect a lot from Pedro Neto. At the end of the day, he's playing for a Wolves team that have just lost Jimenez, and Wolves weren't scoring that many goals beforehand anyway. But I still thought he was the best 5.5 option. I still believe he is, despite that goal from Podence, because I think that was just a one-off thing. So therefore, we're just going to give a wait and see with Neto. We might move him on soon, but it's just way too soon to be hasty and switch between players at the same price points. Let's see if we can get some value and build up something and maybe switch to someone else and see what's happening. But for now, Pedro Neto, he's still a good player. And he actually looked quite good against Leeds. He looked attacking. He looked involved. Obviously, took the ball really well down for the build-up to the Podence goal. He's getting in there, but he's just not quite doing it. But it's one game, so don't get too hasty. Kulasevsky, man. Now you are the king. I brought this guy in at 6.6 overall ownership, and he's now gone to 10 because everyone's cottoning on to the idea I had. But oh my goodness me, 13 points for a 6.6% midfielder. Thank you very much. I will remember that when the season is over. That was such a nice pick. Really, I went for that thinking against Chelsea maybe Richarlison comes back, but for a 1 game week punt against that Southampton defence that leaked goals, Kulusevski last season was superb. It just makes sense, and it's so satisfying when a differential comes off. And at the end of the day, I don't see how Conte can drop him against Chelsea, but we will see. However, he's just so good that he could easily score in a game week as difficult as that. Moving on to the front two, and we've got the new two of Jesus and Haaland. Now, we ended up having Haaland, but we had Kane for pretty much most of the summer. And I'm glad, very, very relieved that I went with Haaland because, of course, he went up in price, Kane went down, Haaland hauled, Kane blanked. And I just couldn't go without Erling Harland. I just thought about it and I thought, well, he's got that fixture in game week 2. Don't book in a transfer unnecessarily. And also Kane, he's good, but sometimes he plays a bit deeper. And that's exactly what happened against Southampton. So, really good switch. Jesus, look, you're going to be disappointed, of course, with a blank, but you kind of think he was just always going to be in our teams with his ownership at 77% or whatever it is now. 72, okay, it's gone down a bit, actually. I think people are selling him. Yeah, whatever it is now, it's still so high. So, I think he's definitely one to watch. He's going to get better. He's going to come good soon. But, obviously, a shame that he didn't do anything against Palace. But he was a bit lively, to be honest, even in the game, even if he did no attacking returns. And then Erling Harland. I mean, what a player. What a debut. Aguero vibes here with their brace on the opening game week of his City career. I mean, that is just unbelievable. And for me, part of the decision-making for bringing him in was that ownership at 46% at the time of transferring. So I was like, I don't want to bet against that, and I don't want to bet against one of the best strikers in the world. So, therefore, I brought him in, and it was an inspired decision. So, really, really happy with that game week. I can't say it enough. For a game week 1, you want to get onto a good start, but 78 is really strong. Bench, Sanchez, as I mentioned, it's 3 points in it. I really don't mind too much. He only conceded 1 less goal, So at least he didn't get a clean sheet, and then I would have been a bit more gutted. Nico Williams, look, he's going to be hopefully the next Lundstrom, but this week obviously was a good week to bench him because it was the first game for Forest. We didn't know how they'd do, and he got booked, so not ideal. But Andreas Pereira, absolutely superb in the game against Liverpool. He's on set pieces, he's on free kicks, he's on corners, and he actually looks very, very good. So, you know, as a 4.5 million option, he still looks one of the best. De Silva did score, so I'm actually kind of glad that Andreas didn't, because I would have had De Silva on my bench if I'd have owned him over Andreas. So I can't really complain too much. And I'm glad actually I went for a 4-4-2 in the end over a 5-3-2, because yes, you could argue I'd have two good 4.5 options in Andreas and De Silva, but you know, with Nico, I think with the fixtures rotating, Forest have got good fixtures. Nico is attacking, as he showed in that Newcastle game, and a 4-4-2 is just so much more balanced. You can put that money into midfield, have that 8 million slot, rather than having like a midfield of a Neto, a Martinelli and Salah, and then when a midfielder pops off, one of those kind of 8 million ones, you've got nowhere to move. But now I've got a nice price point booked in there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this team does in game week 2. And then Archer, obviously on the bench as well, didn't actually start as we'd expect. But, you know, the fact he's coming on and getting minutes, so just shows he's just as good, if not better, in my opinion, as like a Greenwood at Leeds United. You know, that kind of 4.5 option, it's not that important. But to see that he's getting minutes is really good. But, you know, he's probably not going to feature. So, very, very nice game week. And 78 points is very satisfying. So, as I say, the average 57, I smashed that this week and finished on an overall rank of 386k after the first game week. So yeah, it was such a 50-50 call between Haaland and Kane. I picked the right one. I even, people, and you're not going to believe this, but I even predicted the right way round with Erling Haaland's points. Now I know you're going to say, what does that mean, right way round? Well, let me show you. If we just go back and have a look through my previous tweets, I can tell you that in the lead up to the game between West Ham and Manchester City, if we can just find it. By the way, Watford are kicking off in about 20 minutes, so fingers crossed we do well in that. Yep, here it is. So I tweeted this out at about 4 o'clock, I think. Yeah, 4:15. So the game between City and West Ham kicked off at 4:30. Sorry, not even that. It was 5 o'clock. So it was actually quite a lot of time before. So yeah, no, actually, was it 4:30? No, it was 4:30. So yeah, it was about 15 minutes before. And I just thought, let's have a bit of fun with this. I've got Haaland in my team. Let's predict what points he's going to get. So I went for 13, and it got a few likes. I was like, okay, let's see how it does. And lo and behold, people, we only gone and smashed it out the park. He got 13. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So that's what we do. So it's not just that we own one of the best strikers in FPL right now, but we also know he's going to do bits. Hence why he's in the team. Also, can I just say, I scored the same number of points as all-time champion of FPL, Fabio Borges, this week. So, just saying, it's the Portuguese vibes. That's what it is. It rubs off from both of us. And just quickly, in terms of kind of stats from this game week, looking at a 7-point haul on the bench. I say a total, which is not too bad. You know, I can't really have too many big regrets. And now I've got a nice team value of 100.1 after Haaland went up in price and Kane dropped in price. Shame about Nozinchenko, but, you know, you can't have everyone, so it is what it is. And also, a little rundown in case we didn't know, my transfer history is none because, surprise, surprise, that's not what happens in unlimited transfers before Game Week 1. And then my season history is the following. 2018-19 was my first FPL season, finishing on a point total of 1,872 and a rank of 3,391,639. 19-20, I finished on an overall points of 2,006 with a overall rank of 1,834,861. 20-21 was my best season at that point because I finished on a much more improved 2,326 overall points with a rank of 267,782, and last season was my best ever finish with a overall points of 2,498 with a rank of 109,677. But as it stands, in 2022 to 23, we are on 78 points with a rank of 386,786. It's only one game week. Don't get too knee-jerky, people. But what are your plans for Game Week 2? Well, we will be doing a preview of Game Week 2 later on in the week. But smash a like on it. Get down in the comment section below. How many points did you score in Game Week number 1? It is a big one. And if you want to still join my league, the code in non-caps is 69FEQI. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.